I had an idea, but no real plan. So working by the seat of my pants, I measured the bottom of my dinghy in order to establish the center of gravity for the lift cradle. I figured the cradle should be 1/3 the length of the boat, about 4 feet. So I measured 2 feet each direction from the center of gravity. Using some scrap lumber I had laying around, I cut a couple of pressure-treated 2x4s about 6 inches longer than the width of the hull. I notched one 2x4 for the skeg, not very pretty, but good enough for this experimental prototype. The longitudinal cross members I cut 45 inches long, making the overall length of the cradle 4 feet. Then I spaced the cross members a couple of inches wider than the hull bottom. Four-inch deck screws seemed sufficient to join the cradle and cross members, which I could reinforce at a later time if needed. At this point I marked the hull where it would rest in the cradle, established the position of the lift levers, and configured the angle of my gussets. I cut the gussets from some scrap 1/2-inch plywood, good enough for this particular application. The angle of the forward gussets was different than the aft angle, so I cut it accordingly. A mark on the cradle indicated where the gusset was to be mounted. I moved the dinghy back onto the grass and placed the cradle where I had made the marks on the hull. Slightly warped, but that would correct itself. Then I mounted the gusset with 1 5/8" deck screws, about 3 inches apart. One on either side of the cradle member. forward cradle member received a gusset on both sides of the hull. I mounted gate hinges on the tilt levers at a point established by the distance from the dock to the water level. The position of the lift contraption was established by the distance from the transom to the cradle and marked on the dock. Then I placed the lift lever on the dock with the gate hinges flush with the edge and established the length of the tilt lever. At this point, I joined the tilt levers with the cradle at the previously marked positions. Then I temporarily mounted the lift to the dock. Now it was time to see if my dinghy would fit in the cradle. Did. Dang near perfectly. Now it was time to complete the tilt levers with the proper bracing and reinforcement. had some scrap carpet which I cut into pieces and tacked to the cradle to avoid scratching up the hull, hopefully. After testing, I thought the cradle was too deep in the water, so I moved the hinges down 4 inches. To keep the cradle in the upright position, I mounted a pair of gate catches to the dock. Mating latches to the tilt levers. Now I was ready for the true test. With my lift contraption work, I pushed the dinghy all the way forward until it was wedged between the 2 forward gussets. Lift off. With hardly any effort, my dinghy was out of the water and strapped to the lift. The gate latches kept it upright. Now that I know that the lift contraption works, I will, at some point, build another with all new lumber or, better yet, aluminum. Should you feel inclined to do so, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you for watching.